operator, man. Like you were a Green Beret or something. Like you.
I can't grow a full beard.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not really a true man.
Have you at least Rogained it? Given it a shot, right? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I've grown it, but it's like scraggly and there's patches and like I have this big patch right here, like it won't even fill in. So, anyway, we're live. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. Subscribe, buy my freaking book. Everybody, hold your books up. Everybody, buy my book.
I'm the other guy that has it. So
yeah, he's the one other guy that bought my book, besides me.
Well, so, I think the problem is that the reason it's not flying off the shelves is it's not really touchy-feely. It's not really cuddly, and you don't really reinforce people's bad decisions. You just kind of tell the truth, and the truth isn't really in big demand nowadays.
Isn't that Aaron's Operation Evil? You basically tell lies, and you just get billions of dollars thrown at you.
Well, he's, what do they call him? The fake Oprah, poor Oprah. Because he tells the truth.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, he's not going to give me warm fuzzies no matter what I do, right? Because it should.
I mean, it's very profitable. You know, maybe I'll delete my book off Amazon and write something better.
How many sales have you gotten on it so far? I mean, I don't know how the metrics work on Amazon.
Yeah, so they tell you they break it up into ebook, regular book. I have maybe 12 or 15, something like that.
Yeah,
but it's been out for 3 months, 4 months. So
yeah,
I'm not quite living off my book sales.
Get it.
Well, what's good is that a little bit of good news is you were talking about HOAs. I hate our HOA. Our HOA is awful.
You said you liked it.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're you didn't have a meeting today with your stuff, right?
Yeah, dude, I've been sick and I've just been mixing days up. It's actually tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's tomorrow, and then I'm the president, so I have to go because nobody else wanted to volunteer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be on the board here pretty soon with the way things are going. We've had a special assessment, we've had all this stuff. Yeah, owning a condo is a lot of fun.
Condos have super high HOA fees. I'm in
not really. Ours are kind of set. Ours are kind of set in place, which I'm kind of happy about. We've kind of because we paid off all the shit that we've gotten to pay off. So I'm kind of coasting right now, but yeah, I'm definitely on the high track. I know you say don't pay off your home as soon as possible, but I really want to move to a more conservative area with lower taxes, near in Colorado Springs. So that's the whole goal. And that's the last place in Colorado not the last place, but it's one of the few places that you can really buy a full house.
Dude, I would just abandon that state altogether. I mean, I don't know what job you have, but if you can get a job in somewhere in the South, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, that might be an option.
I mean, me and Ryan have been talking about that. I mean, we've been thinking about doing reconnaissance, man.
Yeah. I can go anywhere with my work, but you work for state. So unless you can transfer to Fed or something like that, or they don't PO box, stuff like that. Yeah. There's a way around it. But
who knows? I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm currently happy with my current situation. Although I have to say though, there's this kid who just bought. He's 21 and just bought a unit upstairs, and I have to say this is probably the most responsible 21-year-old. He wanted to. He's getting a computer science degree. He's using his dad's GI Bill because he's retired out of the military. He used this, and his dad gave him his VA home loan, and this kid is killing it. He's working full time. He's getting a computer science degree. And I'm like, dude, just don't get somebody pregnant.
He's got military child privilege. Okay.
Yeah, military child privilege. Yeah. But hey, he's not a fuck up. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. I didn't know you could give the VA home loan.
I didn't know you could do that. You can do USAA. That's my dad was in. I have USA, but I didn't know you could do anything else.
Unless his dad bought the house in his name,
I don't think
or the condo.
Probably pulled a page and did that. Right?
Well, it's kind of funny. He was on a scholarship. He was on a football scholarship and got hurt, obviously. And then this is why I think it's stupid to push kids into this direction. Oh, I'm just going to get a football scholarship or get a they can take those away if you get hurt in a second. You lost a scholarship in a minute.
Yeah,
which is sad.
Yeah, I mean, even if you get a scholarship, you want to major in something that's marketable. Because if you think you're going to go to the NFL or whatever, and you're most likely not, and you have a crap degree, well, you're kind of screwed.
Going to sales, man.
Yeah,
do sales.
I was dumb.
Sales is part of every job, though.
Yeah, so I did history for my first degree, and I was like, well, I'm just going to go in the Army, so it doesn't matter. And luckily, I did get active duty, but there were years after me where it was a lot harder to get active duty. So I could have wound up in a situation where I have a history degree and then I get reserves and then I don't have a job and I don't have a skill. So
that's how ROTC works. They say you're either going active or you're going reserve.
Yeah, so it's basically it's competitive. So you have everybody, and then yeah, they're like they base it off your GPA, your PT score, and your score at advanced camp, and they add it all together, and then you're ranked. And if they only need 3,000 active officers, they're only going to take 3,000, and the rest go in the reserves.
Dude, it's hard. I was this girl I know. She was trying to get on the board. She got rejected from the boards. And now, since the military is becoming such a good deal, you're getting MDs going for it. You're getting, everybody. So you're getting only the people. I mean, back during NOM, I'm sure you could have had any degree you wanted.
All you had to do was
sign. Getting fine. And that was it.
Second tour? Sure. Come on.
Yeah. Year-long paid vacation in the jungle, baby. Why not? So.
Could you imagine how terrified you'd be if you didn't want to?
Oh my God!
You get freaking drafted. Now you have to go fight in some jungle.
Yeah, I think that would be the worst step. I mean, imagine you being an infantry officer in front of with a group of guys who don't want to be there. I mean, all of them are drafted, and oh God,
they'd probably frag me, man. I'd probably be dead.
You be that hard charger. You be that asshole.
No, I mean, I'd be nice, but you never know. Like maybe the guys just don't like you. Sometimes that's just how it is, and then they just throw a grenade in your tent and blow your head off.
No.
Yeah, he'd be Joker. Drew, you'd be Animal Mother for sure. Running into a building with his 240.
I'm like, guys, if you don't frag me, I'll let you smoke weed. I'll turn a blind eye.
Well, that's what I'm shocked about. Like I said before. This girl that I worked with at my previous job, she had one concussion and she was denied to become a medic in the Army. And now she's in med school. She got a scholarship to med school. So none of this stuff makes any sense. It's really, really weird.
Like Army med, like for the
Army med. Yeah.
Yeah. Did she apply for nursing in like a different branch?
She applied for it all. MEPS told her no on all facets. So it was which I found to be really, really just unbelievable. So they turned down a lot of good people over there. I think it's actually, don't you think it's actually getting harder to get in? Would you say overall? I mean, I don't know about combat arms necessarily because they always need people, but I mean.
Yeah, I would say it really depends on the times. Like if we're in a big war and, nobody wants to do it, it's probably easy to get in. But, if the economy's bad and we're not really fighting a war anymore, yeah, I'm sure it's a lot easier to recruit people, which means there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get rejected. So it's all based on the needs of the military.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but another good news, my credit score jumped up 4 points today. So I'm happy.
Speaking of, I got a topic for you here. Let's do some credit myths and some stuff like that, because that's one thing I can speak to a bit.
So that's your background. Tell them your background when it comes to this.
Yeah, well, I spent 4 years at one of the 3 credit bureaus. So yeah, I mean, we were in a division that did a lot of background investigation, reporting, stuff like that, but also dealt with rental models and all sorts of stuff. But we had the core credit bureau. So. Yeah, I mean, I was on the tech side and everything, but we had to know how all that worked. And yeah, man, after buying and selling houses a bit, stuff like that, and going through good decisions, bad decisions, lots of those. You learn. You learn what to do and what not to do. But it went up by 4 points, eh? What'd you do?
4 point. I paid my bills.
Well, that generally helps, yes. I mean,
I had to replace a remote control. I got into drone flying while I'm as a hobby, since everybody's stuck at home. So I had to buy a new remote control. That cost me a pretty penny. So just put it on the credit card, paid it off instantly. So I must have done something.
That helps.
You got those delicious reward points too, didn't you?
Yeah, man. Frontier Airlines, the best airline in the world. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, that's why I hate Dave Ramsey's crap. Like he's always like, rewards points, you're gonna pay interest. Like, no, dude, I haven't paid any interest my entire life, and I've probably made thousands off reward points.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is I don't have a problem. I mean, his whole philosophy on no credit cards whatsoever. I mean, as long as you're responsible, which we've shown that the American public overall is not responsible with credit cards. But if you're one of the few, then what's wrong with it?
Yeah, well, technically, the best thing to do is use a credit card for apps, especially in this age of identity theft, right?
Oh yeah.
So I work in finance
gas
technology,
stations.
right? And the identity theft was getting crazy. We had to change all the back end systems with the bureau I was at after when the other ones got hacked. So yeah, man, it's best thing you could possibly do is put everything on a credit card and pay it off. Obviously, before the end of the month, you're not gonna pay interest. But another myth is that you should pay your cards off to zero. That actually hurts your score. So.
Yes,
Leave a couple bucks on them, otherwise they can close them. But anything under 30% utilization doesn't generally affect your score as much.
I mean, I would say you don't necessarily have to keep a balance, but as long as you're using it, like if you want to keep a card open and then you put your Netflix bill on there and then you have it pay off in full.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it keeps
the only risk is if some of those card companies or whatever, or the economy in general, if they want to limit their liabilities, they could say, "Oh, that card's off to zero, done, close it." They can do that anytime they want.
Well, isn't that what they did with Ramsey with all of his real estate investing? Was that?
I think they called his loans, they had a call provision, so
Mm-hmm.
he had to basically pay all his loans back, and he couldn't because he was all tied up in wonderful real estate. So
I know one guy that's doing that, right? A guy I actually served with, and I've tried to. I mean, he's doing really well right now, but I mean, it's so risky what he's doing.
Is he buying individual homes or rental properties?
Fix and flips right away, man. Well, on borrowed money, and he's like, yeah, man, I've got a really great relationship with the banker. And I'm like, yeah, because they want to give you, they make money off of loaning you money.
How is he doing that without hitting capital gains? Is he keeping each property for
he sells it within the time frame. He sells it within the time frame for rental properties. I don't know the specifics about rental properties, but if you use the income to buy other rental properties, then it's not taxable.
Yeah, it's called.
I see. Yeah, you're right. You roll that over.
Yeah. But he's playing with. I mean, he's really playing with fire, and I'm like, okay, man. You're an adult.
Good time to do it, but not for long.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Pops.
I didn't know that Wisconsin was a very high demand place to live. So I'm like,
dude, everywhere else is getting flooded.
But he's definitely the thing I've noticed about him though is and we all have friends like this. The guys that kind of they grew up poor, not poor but lower middle class. And I was in the military with him. All he talks about is money. He's always talking about the new shit he has, and all he wants to talk about is how much money do you make, man? I'm like, why do we have to talk about this? This is stupid.
Because he wants to make sure he makes more than you.
Well, good. I'm happy for him, man. But when you
how much do you make? Tell me right now.
It's like with tax. Yeah, with taxes. Tax before. What do you make? And it's just, dude, I don't want to. It's like the most cringeworthy conversations. And I'm like, good, man. You're on your path. It's obviously working for you. It's not for everybody. Yeah. And he's like, I want to be retired by the time I'm 42. And I'm like, yeah, good luck, man.
Yeah, some people are just obnoxious about bragging about their income. And people like that, I tend to, if they used to be my friend, I kind of stop being their friend because I don't want to hear you brag every day about, I make this and I make that. I don't care.
Some of the people with the highest credit card debt that I know are the ones that make the most money. Mm-hmm. Because as you make more, you're like, oh man, my salary increased by 50% over the last 10 years. Let's increase my expenditures by 150%.
Let's buy the dude bro car.
Right? Dude, I make another 10 grand a year. I can afford that $3 million house now. Well, no, you can't.
I made it, bro. I can now buy a Rolex and a nice sports car, financed, of course.
Oh, on credit.
Well, that's the thing about this. Nobody's going to learn from this. We're going to go back. We're going to get these $1,400 stimulus checks, and I'm planning on putting half of it towards my mortgage and then half of it in the stock market, to pay it down. And I'm not buying anything else with it. I'm putting it in everything that can gain value. And everybody's, well, what are you going to do with it? I'm like, I'm going to save it. I think you either save it, invest it, or pay off your debt with it. And it's like, no, and we're going to watch this economy, like usual, stimulate when these things go out and inflate the market again.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a brief increase in like some of the meme stocks. This is my theory, at least. Like all these idiots are going to get their check and they're going to buy GameStop or whatever, and it's going to shoot up for a couple of days and then crash right back down.
The dude bro stocks.
Yeah. Or Tesla. So like I was getting excited because Tesla was crashing like crazy.
So you're going to buy?
I wasn't going to buy it. I was just laughing. And then of course it was today or yesterday, it went up by like 20%. I was like, oh God, this freaking stock doesn't die.
How's the stock market doing today? I haven't checked yet. Maybe
I haven't checked. I think it went up a little bit because like it's
been dipping. It's been dipping, going up, down, up, down. It's been, I don't know, man. I don't know how long we can hang on for this, like until the correction, until the correction happens. But on the other hand,
I mean, I'll be at the perfect position to invest right when the correction happens. So you let me know when you think it's at the bottom, you two, and then I'll.
I think that's on. I think that's on you. I think March would have been the perfect time to get in. That would have been
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, like if you haven't like maxed your Roth and whatever, I mean, you might as well just go do it, And then if you have some play money, then you can kind of wait for a correction. But like the vast majority of my investments, I don't touch. Every month I buy them because like you can't really time the market, really.
No.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
So just max your Roth, whatever, and then if you have some play money and you think there's a correction coming, sure. I mean, like I sold some of my play money and I'm holding cash because I think there's going to be some kind of crash, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
I ended up, with me every day, I usually put about a third of my check in the Vanguard accounts and one of my Roth 401ks at work. So I'm just anything tax free that I can kind of get the advantage of it. But I'm like you, I'm not touching any of that money unless it's a dire emergency, which I have plenty of reserves for, but as an emergency fund. But I mean, yeah, if you can avoid this, because I was in the hospital and I had to take out some money out of my 457 thinking that was an emergency fund. And I was always putting in that, oh yeah, it's an emergency fund. That's what it's used for. Pull it out. I had to pay so much on taxes this year on it. I'm like, I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Were they allowing deductions from 401ks for a minute there?
Yeah, but it didn't, this is the government bullshit. It didn't fall under the specific guidelines of COVID.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So basically I was in the hospital. I had staph infection, but it wasn't COVID. So I guess that doesn't, it's not an emergency.
Well, the doctor didn't rule that COVID too. I mean, everybody else gets a COVID.
No, but luckily, I mean, this is the one good thing about VA. One good thing about VA, they covered all the emergency room visits. So I
have a $1 million question for you guys. And speaking of contributing to Roth, lowering your taxable income, is this $1 million? Because I know other people have asked me this. Where's that? How do you find that sweet spot between, okay, well, if I put X amount that's tax deductible, how do you know where you get to the balance on that curve where putting any more in won't lower your taxable income, won't lower your tax liability anymore? But obviously, you get what I'm saying? So
you kind of have to know how much you make. Like if you know you're going to make 300,000 and you're going to get a steady paycheck, well, okay, you want to max all the tax advantage accounts.
Yep.
You're paying at that high bracket, and the more you put in the tax advantage, the less you're paying at that high tax rate. But so you kind of have to know what you make first, and then you have to look at the situation specifically to really know that.
Yeah,
if you're an average Joe, I mean, I don't make a ton of money. I
don't either.
Roth is the best way to do it.
So what do you think that figure is before you're like, well, just max out after X amount salary? Because a lot of people ask me like, okay, well, how do I know when I make to the point where I should just start maxing it out and then I get my best tax advantage?
Well,
this may be a question for an accountant.
Well, how much disposable income do you have? I mean, that's probably what you got to ask yourself.
Well, just say that you could put in, as much as the max would allow.
Okay.
But it'd just be interesting to figure out where we are right now in Denver or whatever, with the figures. Be like, okay, well, after X salary or X amount, per year, it's not going to give you any additional tax benefits by contributing.
You're getting tax benefits no matter what, because whatever money you put in there, whether it's Roth or traditional, you're still going to get that tax-free or tax-deferred growth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's true. Yeah.
So no matter what, it's always a better deal to max those accounts.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like with me though, I mean, I was going to ask you about this tonight. I've got a Roth 401k, but I really can't afford it. I would love to max that. What is it? 19,500 a year. Man, if I could get that in there, do you think that I should take? I mean, you've seen my my portfolio for the most part. I mean, do you think it's a better option for me just to go with my work and just put it in a Roth, all the rest of it in a Roth 401k, or take a huge chunk of that and put it in the Roth 401k? I mean, I've just got it defined. I've got a 2045 plan. So that's my number where I'm hoping to retire by. So
yeah,
that's a hard one. I mean, and this is after maxing out my Roth IRA every year.
Well, because you can only put in the 401k through payroll deduction.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So
you can't like sell your crap that you have in your taxable accounts and throw it in there.
No, I wish I could.
I mean, if you can max it, great, but you have to be realistic. Like once I have my kid, my wife's going to stop working, and unless I can make more, like I'm maxing my TSP right now, but once she stops working, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. So I might have to cut back. So it's just all depending on, well, if you're maxing it, do you not have enough savings? And if you have an emergency, like your staph infection, are you gonna have to dip back into it?
Yeah.
That's just things you have to consider.
Yeah. I've got a pretty big emergency fund. I mean, I usually try to keep I always try to keep at least 2 years. I mean, based on what's going on. I mean, because I don't know about you, but 2008 was a big wake up call for me. I was like one of the things where I was like, man, I'm really glad I'm joining the military. And that's where it really grilled into my head. I'm like, damn, man, I better have a backup plan. I better have a plan B, a plan C. And I better drill it into my head that, saving is more important than spending. I mean, granted, we all have our moments of buying stupid shit, but I think we should limit those as much as we can. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 2 years is a lot, but I mean, if that's what you're comfortable with, it's whatever. I mean, like there's no one answer, like 6 months. But if that's what you like, I have like
depends on how easy it is to replace your job, right? Like if you can get a job in a month, then you could probably do a few months and be safe. But up to 2 years is great.
That's
that's too large, but I'm afraid to invest the excess.
Losing money with inflation.
Well, what's too large? You have to tell us how much you actually have in there. Because if you have like 6 months, that's not too large,
No. Well, and it also depends on where you're living at. It depends on the cost of living. It depends on everything. I mean, there's so many. I feel like it's just more. I have 3, which is 2
3 months or 3 years. If you have 3 years, obviously you can definitely reduce that. If you're worried about inflation. I mean, inflation's really not that bad, despite what people say.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody keeps talking about hyperinflation, and I'm just kind of like,
it's BS.
Yeah. You got the reserve banks that are there to stop that, essentially. I mean,
yeah, the banks control the money supply. So people, my God, they're printing money. Well, yeah, but they can also remove money from the banking system. I mean,
yeah. They have a lot more control of everything. Yeah, but everybody think 3 years. Okay.
Yeah, but if you have 3 years, that's a lot. Man, I would say if you have a wife, I would max your Roth. I'd max her Roth as long as you have enough earned income. Don't worry about the market. Who gives a crap? Just throw it in there.
Yeah.
Buy a total stock market or total world stock market index fund. And if you're really that worried about the markets, you can dollar cost average your money in over a year or two.
Yeah.
You're buying ups and downs, but it's not going to hurt to invest some of that unless you have like a big purchase coming up that you're going to have to spend a huge chunk of money in. So
yeah, well, and that's why my rule is this, like, because I don't like the investing is a lot of next 401.
Yeah, I mean, do you have like a big cash purchase you're going to make? I mean, are you going to freak?
Are the essentials covered?
Yeah,
food, clothing, shelter, man. As long as those are covered, and I don't really look to anything else that's really crazy. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, at the beginning of the year, my rule is this: I always put $6,000 in into my Roth. Like, that's it. So that way, I'm not tiptoeing around it. I'm not thinking, oh shit, here comes a crash. I might want to save that money. It's just in there. So it's. But I've also kind of like flirted with the idea of like, well, what happens if there is a dip and I have that $6,000 in reserve, and then like, something like March happens, I could have I'm kicking myself in the ass, because that would have been a great time to max that bitch out.
Yeah, but you're never gonna know. Like, who predicted the virus? I mean, And if you think about it, you're kind of dollar cost averaging with your Roth. You're just doing that on a yearly basis. It's year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. So
yeah, it's the best ROI ever. I mean, like literally, I started really hitting it hard when I got in the military a little bit, but when I started hitting it hard. I mean, it's in the 6 figures now, and that's maxing it out every year, and it's just with compound interest. I mean, it's fantastic when you can see that, and once you see that. Oh my God.
And then it starts growing super fast. It's like, holy crap, because you already have that big chunk in there, and then you get 10% on that and 10% on that. And it's crazy.
Yeah. I think it's up 26%. I don't know how, but it's up 26% or something like that. I was reading on the Vanguard website. So it's definitely a worthwhile investment, but like we've been talking about before, there's nothing sexy about the long term,
That's why I have 238 subscribers, and other people have 600.
Well, yeah, it's like, but who the fuck? I mean, but seriously, who the fuck's going to be sitting on a podcast, talking about this stuff on a Friday night? I mean, and who finds this, stimulating? I mean, like this is one of those things where you have to be really disciplined and really give up that kind of consumer life. You just got to unplug yourself from the matrix.
Speaking of, I'm going to go to, I have to do a guest lecture to a group of seniors. And so where I'd like your guys' input too. And my course is going to be on credit, obviously, which is what I know.
Okay.
But if we could pass on, Aaron, Andrew, if you could go back to yourself at 18, say, you know what, if I'd have done this, obviously save as much as you can invest. Yeah, this is the standard. But if there's a trick or a tip or something that you would tell your younger self, it might help some of these kids, right? I mean, because, hey, if they can do what I didn't do, for example, and what obviously all of us probably messed up a little bit here and there on, no matter how good you are, what would you say?
Start early. Start as early as you can. And if I would have started at 21, holy shit. I mean, that net worth would have probably been 300. 400,000 now.
A lot of these kids, though, they think, when I get out of high school or I'm in college, I don't have the money. It's paycheck to paycheck. It's this and that. I'm trying to save.
Well, first off,
breaking out of that's tough.
Well, first off, I mean, it's a lot different. I think the seniors. I mean, that's a whole different generation. I mean, they could afford college, straight out, working a summer job. They could work. I mean, there's a lot of different factors. I mean, I think that I would say don't go to college. Unless it's paid for, unless it's completely paid for on a scholarship, or you get the military to pay for it, or you get somebody else to pay for it, or even
or work through it like I did. Yeah,
it worked. I mean, it's just like the kid upstairs. He's a full-time. He just bought his house. He's working freaking all of this stuff, and he's working all of this kind of crap, and he's got no debt. He's got none of this stuff. And it's just one of those things where he's doing it right. And he said I was even talking to him about it today. He's like, yeah, man, it sucks. It really sucks. But I said, but bro, you're going to be in a lot better position than your counterparts coming out and just drinking the Kool-Aid and being like, I need to go to college. Get somebody else to pay for it, dude. And my mom got all of her stuff paid for through the feds, got her nursing degree paid for through the feds. Get them to fucking pay for it, man. I mean, like, there's a smarter way of doing it. There's always a better way of doing something.
Yeah, and if you don't know what you're doing, just hold off. You don't have to go directly into college, or you can just work a job and go to community college, whatever it takes to not go into debt.
If you can join the military, do it 4 years of your life. You're a lot better off.
Even the reserves, you can do 1 weekend a month, and they still pay for your college.
Yeah.
Is it the same benefit level for college as it would be for full time?
You got to deploy. I think you have to deploy. You have to deploy on active duty for 6 months to get your full GI Bill. I think that's the rule.
Yeah, you definitely get more benefits from active duty. Like I had to do 4 years to pay off my college scholarship. And then after that, I did 13 more months of service, and I got 60% GI Bill. So you have to do a decent amount of time before you qualify for the full.
Makes sense.
But still, it's a lot of free. It's a lot of free college, man. I mean, that's great. As long as you don't have to pay for this stuff. I mean, I was talking to the kid upstairs, and he goes, he goes, dude, college is a freaking joke. He goes, he's getting a computer science degree, which is smart. And he was telling me, he goes, yeah, man, but none of my, and that's why I said, Ryan, that you should probably talk to him because you're in this industry. I said, my advisors don't know shit about any of this stuff. So
no, they don't. Even in the CIS programs have.
Yeah. So like they're getting bad advice. They're just saying, oh, just take another class. Oh, I want you to take this other bullshit class. And that's what he was telling me. He's like, they're trying to get me to take all these bullshit classes I don't need. And I'm just like, yeah, it's a fucking racket, dude. I mean, if there's and I don't know, maybe this will be it. I mean, maybe maybe it'll take a pandemic to kind of show that the emperor has no clothes. I mean,
no.
You don't think that's going to help?
No. I mean, I don't know if you guys watch. I mean, I know you watch Aaron Clary, Drew, but
yeah,
I don't know if you watch him, but
oh yeah, I was listening to him right before this.
Yeah,
on the Denmark. You've seen the one about Denmark? They're trying to get the guy anyway. That's a good one.
I've seen him.
That's a good
pretty much all. But yeah, he thinks it's not going to change, and I think he's right because it's the dream. You know, you got to get that status and go to university and party and have the time of your life. So people aren't going to stop.
Yeah, I think those days are gone. I don't know. I mean, we all had some situation like that a little bit, but I'm going to tell these kids too. I mean, what do you think about just getting your course done at a community college? Because that way you don't have to worry about it. And if you want to work full time, do that part time for a few years or whatever, then that's done. You decide, hey, I want to be a accountant. All right, cool. You got 2 years, maybe 3, depending on the program, as opposed to full 4.5, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, it's
my first degree was 5, so yeah. What?
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do, and like if I didn't have a scholarship, the best thing for me to do would have been to just go to a community college, take some classes, figure out what I liked, not go into massive debt, and then choose my major.
I think the smartest thing I ever saw was like, because I went to a small little college in Virginia, like in the South, and what I saw that was really, really smart was that these kids were going to the community college, partying at Virginia Tech, and then just doing all their prereqs for a quarter of the price. And then because it was in the Northern Virginia community college system, everything directly correlated. So they ended up, I think one guy I met ended up, he was going to their engineering program. So what he was doing was he was going to school year round. So when he would go to Virginia Tech, he would just go in the summer, take a class in the summer, and then just transfer that in. And then he graduated with like, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000 at the end from Virginia Tech, which
it's not bad.
It's not bad from that school.
Really,
2,000 of loans.
That's it. Yeah, I think he only owed about $2,000. Yep,
it's like books and stuff. That's smart
for a very, very marketable engineering degree. And
you can tell people you can either get compound interest from investing, so you're getting paid with compound interest, or you can pay compound interest with freaking loans. So there's a huge differential between, your debt compounding versus your wealth compounding. So it's a massive difference.
Well, and unfortunately, I think that, I don't know, the consumerism, I mean, for both men and women are just completely different. I mean, guys want to get chicks, so they buy stupid shit to get chicks, especially when you're young. You buy I mean, look, you probably saw it all the time in the Army, like I saw it in the Air Force, guys buying stupid fucking shit that, I had a 93 Ford Ranger. I didn't care. But there were guys blowing all kinds of cash for they were just peacocking and just trying to impress people. And
like
then
pink Porsches and whatever,
Yeah, well, that.
Like,
I remember. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You're right though. I mean, they do that. It's like, well,
like here's my Porsche. You want to come back to my room afterwards? Yeah.
I just spent $100,000 to get
And you see this crap in the ski towns up here. I mean, like in Vail, I'm like, how many of these Porsches are really all paid for? I mean, like, how many of these things are? Yeah, you don't think so? I'm driving up the mountain. I go skiing. I try to go snowboarding. Especially like this weekend, it's going to be a shit show because we're about to get 2 feet of snow, and I'm just watching these $100,000 SUVs go up the mountain, and I'm just sitting there going like, there's no fucking way. Unless this guy is the hedge fund guy from Billions, I don't think that this is, this is real. I mean, it could be.
I mean, think about it. You didn't save any money. You didn't max your accounts. How much extra money would you have to pay for a lease? You'd probably be able to afford a really nice lease,
Yeah.
So
you took all of your spare cash and put it into a lease.
Yeah.
You could do depending on your income, thousands, and that would get you. Like, I mean, obviously you could barely afford ramen, but still, you could look cool.
I probably sold the house if I didn't save money. It's like, what?
There's a couple
more you can do.
There's a couple of people I've partied up there. You would never guess. I mean, and they are multi-millionaires. I mean, you would never guess it. And they just live up in the ski towns and they do their thing and, they do whatever their business is. And, you would never guess it. And like one guy I know, he, jeans and a t-shirt, he's got his pilot's license, does what he wants. He's CPA like you, and runs his own real estate management company. And he's like, we were talking about this. He goes, why the fuck would I? And I'm one of the few guys I know that I know about his net worth, but he's like, why the hell is it anybody else's business about? I don't want people coming after me. I live in a high tax bracket area enough up here. Like, why do I want that kind of unwanted attention? And he lives in a nice house, but it's not like one of those McMansion ski lodges up there. So
it's always better to look poor. It's like, I drive a crappy car. My clothes are garbage. Like, you would never be able to guess that I max my 401k every year,
This whole modest millionaire thing is popular.
Uniqlo, man. That's where I do all my shopping. Japanese.
Goodwill.
Yeah. Good. Nah,
I'm telling you, Goodwill's amazing. You got a point there.
For Halloween.
It's amazing.
You got to check out multiple Goodwill. Some of them suck, but some of them actually have decent stuff. Like all my paintings downstairs, I got nice freaking paintings. It was like $7 a painting.
They have new stuff there too. I mean, it's not all you. If there's cops standing outside of the store, don't go in. If they're inside, then it's good enough. They're gonna have a good supply.
Yeah.
So you really are a true minimalist. I mean, I don't think you're on the level that Aaron Clary's on, but I mean,
you don't have a van.
No.
Yeah, I am I would consider myself a minimalist, but like I'm not super crazy about it. Like I like going out to eat. I'll spend my money on that. I like drinking beer. I'll spend money on that. But like I don't, when it comes to like clothes, cars, houses, the big ticket items, I'm very minimalist on that.
Well, and it's just kind of like, what do you really need? I mean, it's, my whole thing is this. I'm looking at, I've been looking at properties down, Colorado Springs that even a 1-bedroom detached house, that's still a good property. There's no HOAs, there's no nothing. And, the taxes down there, and the good thing is that there's not enough housing for all the military down there. So they always need people. And that I noticed that when I lived down there. So but people want to live in the bit. And I'm guilty of it too. When I was 27, I wanted to get up here and party and have a good time. But all that stuff kind of wears off after a while, especially after you're living in a big city and there's nothing to do and everything's shut down. It definitely goes to show you. I mean, Ryan, you could jump in. I mean, it's
yeah, and that's the thing is growing up. I mean, if you don't make these decisions correctly the first go around, which I made some correct, some not correct, a lot more not correct. And anyway, it's just one of those things. If you think about it, I mean, as you get older, your income goes up, but you start realizing you solidify in your profession and you start realizing that, okay, well, I've got some big boy responsibilities now, but does the new truck, the new Ferrari, or the new this really add enough joy that the stress doesn't erase, right, of the debt? I mean, I don't know. To me, the new happy is freedom from that debt,
well,
and starting to invest.
Sanity,
the sanity, in this insane world, like that is one of the things that I honestly think pushes a lot of people just over the edge. They're like, well, even if it's not crippling debt, but they think it is. They haven't really run the numbers. They don't really know what's possible with their income. They don't know what slight changes you can make. And I'm guilty of that too. Before I started really diving in and looking at my finances, I'm like, just because I make good money, whatever, I have a little loan on this, I have a car payment, I'm never going to catch up. Well, not true. You can refinance certain things, get that interest down, make double payments on the principal. You'd be surprised what you can do. And a lot of people just don't feel enabled, and they're just chronically stressed with that. It's the worst thing you can do for your health.
Well, and I think it was really good for me. And where I grew up, we're the exception. I mean, my dad is one of the only people who was able to retire comfortably, and I mean more than comfortably, because he grilled. And the thing that kind of turned me on to your channel was that everything you are preaching is what my dad drilled into my head at such an early age. Like, he got us into just putting it in our head about investing and about, you don't understand how this can really, really, because time flies. And people don't know that. They think they're going to live forever and, the American dream and all this other shit. And he's one of the few guys from his firm that, there's people at his firm that made a lot more money than him. But you know what they were doing? They were sending their freaking kids to private schools. They were always getting one of his partners was leasing a McMansion. And he was telling me about it. We went to a party there, and he took me aside and he says, Andrew, this isn't real. Like, none of this is real. And he grew up on a farm. So he grew up, he knew what he didn't want to do. So he really busted his ass to get out of there and get full scholarship to UVA, all that other stuff. And, made it work for him. But a lot of people who go to these prestigious schools, they want to keep up with the Joneses. And I think we're headed in the right direction, with this country, with the way things are. But you're right. I don't know. I mean, you're probably right. I don't think this is enough to make people wake up.
No, I think it's never. I mean, like right now, obviously, when there's a pandemic, oh my God, I should have saved money. And then people forget super easy. Like 2 years from now, are we really going to think that much about this? I don't think so. I think we'll be living our lives and everything will be good.
People will be buying shit they can't afford with money they don't have to impress people they don't even like.
Yeah, what helped me save was like when I was in the military, I didn't really like it. I was like, I hate the hours. I don't really like the job. And that kind of motivated me to save because I knew if I had a ton of money, then I could get out and kind of figure out what I wanted to do. So if you're somebody that hates your job and you're not happy, your ticket out of that job is to save freaking money.
I think that's with anything. I think it's just sucking it up, not accepting your situation. I think the problem is that a lot of people in our society, because we really are. I mean, our country is like, somebody needs to bail me out of it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what I've noticed, this is just my opinion. You need to bail me out of this situation. I mean, I was talking to my boss today, and she's like, I'm this close to paying off all of my student loans from law school, and you're telling me that this is going to be wiped out. As me and my husband have worked our asses off. And I said, yeah, I feel you. I mean, I'm not going to get mad about it. I think like I've said before, I think 10,000 it's a nice cushion. I think it's okay. I'm fine with that, but 50 grand a fucking person, give me a break, dude.
Yeah. Whenever you see politicians talk about crazy numbers, there's always going to be a compromise. It's never going to be that big number they say. It's going to be a smaller number. And like, I actually saw this chart, and if they paid off $50,000 for each person, it would cost $1 trillion. $1 trillion.
Like a fourth of the GDP right there. I mean,
that's insane. Like we
would bail out banks with that kind of money.
Here's the thing: the banks we actually get a profit sometimes when we.
I know. Well, they paid it back, right? So
yeah,
I mean, these kids are never going to pay it back.
No, like if they have crappy degrees, what are they going to produce? They're not going to produce anything.
Yeah. Well, I have 6 masters in these different botany fields and fine arts, and I work at Starbucks and
Harry Potter studies.
Well, I think the problem is that we've got to really change the tide in this country to be like, don't follow your fucking passion if it doesn't make any money. Like, this is stupid. Like,
and money is the way to follow your passion. Like, if it's something that doesn't make money, we'll do something that makes money. Like you said, save, invest, blah, blah, blah. Then you buy your freedom over time. You're like, well, hell, I got $3 million bank or whatever, and I own my home outright. Then I can be a beat poet at, this coffee shop down the road every weekend and make $20 at it and be fine for a while.
Well, who are you talking about? The DJ, that world-renowned DJ that actually was a JD before he.
Armin van Buren actually. He is. Yeah. I mean, he's Dutch, but he has, from what I understand, his law degree as well and stuff like that. I mean, so the guy actually, did not necessarily plan. And if you see some interviews with them, it's kind of an interesting musical branch offshoot, like the people themselves. They don't have the rock star mentality. A lot of them said, I have absolutely no idea how this is paying me as well as it is, and I didn't plan on this. So they had careers, they had jobs, they keep their skills up, that type of thing. And it is interesting because a lot of them are just surprised. They think, wow, I can't believe this is paying. But, so i.e. they didn't plan for it. They were doing other things and just happened to have had talent or whatever and gotten big in that, which is probably the best way to do it rather than planning on it and living that rock star life.
I mean, if you have like a true passion, if you're working full time, if you really care about that side passion, you're going to make time to do it.
Yeah, you'll find a way.
That's the best way to do it. You have a full-time job in case you actually suck and you're not going to make any money off your passion. Like my YouTube channel. If it fails, whatever. I tutor and I have a full-time job. But if it works out, great. Then I can maybe live off that. That's the way to do it instead of just, I'm going to quit my job and just do YouTube. And then
I think that's what
an influencer today, instantly.
I think that Mick Jagger was the first guy that actually branded. I mean, when it came to rock stars, I mean, like he did his marketing of the band and all that other stuff because he has a business degree from some high level university in England, and he used those skill sets to actually make it, so that, and obviously look at what the Stones are now. I mean, it's brilliant. So I just don't think that you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. I disagree with Arnold Schwarzenegger where it's like, don't have a plan B. And I'm like, well, dude, you were you were in real estate. Like, I think he was in real, he never made his first million off of bodybuilding or movies. I think he made it off of real estate. And he was also going to school at night in California. And he did the smart thing. He bought like a multiplex and lived in one of them. And just had him pay. I mean, that guy's super smart, but I'm like, don't have a plan B. Are you out of your fucking mind, dude? Like, you had a lot of different things going on in your life. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I just think that this whole kind of thing where follow your passion and all this, and the money will follow. Man, I think that's
loyal philosophy. Like if your parents are rich and you're going to inherit a bunch of money, okay, you can follow your passion.
Yeah.
The average person is not well off. They're not going to inherit millions of dollars. So unless you're that rich or your parents are that rich and for sure they're going to give you the money, you sure as hell should not follow your passion.
Well, let me ask you this. Like, since we're all talking about, like,
but your passion's investing or something, right?
Yeah,
but if it's something artsy, I mean, if it pays, follow it.
Accounting, tutoring.
Did your family kind of just busted into your head at an early age to save, or was there an experience where it was just kind of like, or was it a light switch?
No. Yeah. So talking about my family, like my parents are like big spenders. Like, my dad's like a high ranking officer in the army. He's got a high ranking government job. Gotcha. He spends like basically all his money. So I'm the exact opposite of them. I don't even think they understand why I do what I do. But what changed me was one of his like coworkers gave me this book called The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. I was like 15 and I read it and I was like, wow, you're telling me I could get rich and all I have to do is buy mutual funds every month? And that's what kind of got me started, but it definitely wasn't from my parents.
Yeah, same here. I mean, the only thing they taught me was how to balance a checkbook. I mean, I love them. They're great people. Then, they were professionals, nurse and an architect, right? So, I mean, they made good money and they put it all into houses and stuff like that. But yeah, they didn't hardly invested in anything. I mean, they bought an annuity. I mean, they had a couple of things, but they didn't, a lot of people, most folks aren't like Drew's family. They don't sit there and drill this into the head. It's like it's like missing the engine out of every vehicle that's made. Like, why wouldn't you? That's the one thing that kids absolutely need. I mean, they can, if they have their finances in order, I hate to say this, but a lot of other mistakes that they make in life can be a little, smoothed over a little bit easier, right? If you can afford to, shouldn't have bought that. Well, didn't kill you.
Well, that's kind of like my dad was grew up on a farm and then he graduated top of his law school and he knew this was his ticket. And he didn't want to blow it. He didn't want to be like his dad, my grandfather, who was working until his 80s, trying to make the farm operation work. And, and ended up seeing that and seeing how leveraged they were and having to just borrow money and having to bail my grandfather out of all of these financial decisions just to keep this operation going that wasn't viable. Like, he's like, no, I'm never doing this. And my other uncle's a CPA as well. And he's like, I'm not doing this. And I think that's where, he saw a lot of his law partners because he made partner, he worked his ass off and really fucking
making money.
Yeah. But you know what he did with all of it? He invested it. Vanguard.
Dude, if you gave me a partner salary, I would retire in about 3 years.
Yeah, that's what he did. I mean, he just absolutely parked it all in growth stock mutual funds in Vanguard. And he was telling me, when I was getting my stuff set up, when I was going in the military, because that's when he's like, well, now since you're going to be making some pretty good money, so he set it up with me, like, and I never really understood back then, like, most fathers don't do this with their children. not a whole lot of parents do this with their children, that they sit down with them and be like, hey, dude, this is your opportunity, like, to have a really good life. And I'll check in with him occasionally, and he'll, I'll get his ideas on investing and everything. And he goes, dude, if you keep going, you're on your way. As long as you don't fuck up somewhere, you are on your way.
A lot of people are like, pretty much all parents teach career because, you get a career, you can make a high income, which means you have a high standard of living, but it's never about savings focus. It's always about career because that's what brings the money in. Because I don't think anybody really believes, or most people don't believe they can actually retire early enough to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you think you're going to be old and decrepit, I guess, that kind of makes sense. It's like, why save?
Well,
a lot of people think they're going to work till they die anyway. I was like, I'll retire at 90. I love what I do. You're going to love it when you're 80. You sure you're going to love it?
I work with a guy. I work with a guy who's a Navy vet, and he's told me, he goes, whatever you do not make the same because we've talked about it. Don't make the same stupid financial decisions that I did. Don't let somebody convince you to take all of that money out for a stupid investment like I did, because he should have been retired years and years ago. He was convinced by somebody else to quit the federal government gig that he was working at, and he regrets it. He's like, I could have been retired by now.
The startup's going to be perfect, man. It's going to, it's going to be awesome.
I'll do that part-time. I'll do that after work, but I'm not doing a federal job.
No,
I'll give you a couple days a week that'll help you out. But
no,
it's stable. It's like, as long as if you really don't want to do anything else, you can just work a federal job. And if you're not
any government, any state, local government, and you have a good pension and you're smart, and they have in a lot of these state and local and government, federal jobs, they have the vehicles there. With my pension, I'm taking advantage of every tax advantage, thing that they have, and that's why. And I talk to other people, I'm like, who've been there forever. I'm like, career employees. And I'm just sitting there like, you didn't put anything in the 401k. You didn't. And I'm just sitting there going like, no. I'm just going to, my defined benefits. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot, man.
You should invest like you don't have a pension. That should be everybody's investment goal. And then if
that could go bankrupt, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, and then
the stock market could crash, but they could also just remove that. Who knows?
Yeah. Some of the stuff that I've seen, and I've seen people take out the retirement fund. For legitimate reasons. Like some people just need to take it out because they've had a real legitimate emergency, like their kid gets sick, or but if you're just doing this just to do it, it's just nuts.
Gotta get that boat, man.
Yeah, the boat. Yeah, what is it? If it flies, fucks, or what is it?
Flies, floats.
Fly floats, fornicate, rent it. Yeah. No, it's like the thing. What's the saying about boats? The happiest day in a boat owner's life is the day you sell it and the day you buy it. It's like,
dude. So I went to Bass Pro Shop.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And dude, some of the boats, they have 20-year financing.
That's
on boats.
Yes. And it's like,
all you need is one of those in tube things that you sit in and fish. That's all you need. Those are like $100.
20 years, and it's like 5% interest for 20 years.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, and it's like an open joke. It's kind of like, one of my, like, the multimillionaire buddy that I have. This kid, very smart guy, earned all of his money, comes from money, but he's really smart with it. I said, and he buys real estate. I said, and he flies easy. This guy has got so much fucking money. The only reason he's getting his corporate pilot's license is so he can get an insurance break on it. So that, like, literally, that's his, I'm just getting the insurance. This guy's got he's
the Russians are selling off their old MiG-27s. So
yeah, exactly.
Buy one of those and fly that across. You can get from New York to LA in an hour.
Yeah, but he was even saying, like, buying a plane and keeping it in a hangar is so goddamn expensive. It's just ridiculous. And then on top of that, my dad was telling me that the first thing that gets offloaded during these recessions is the private jets. Like, the private jets are the first thing everybody's trying to sell. And that's the thing where it's just like, these things are such a waste of money. Like, private jets are a complete waste of money. They're just status symbols, unless you're some guy that needs to be across the world or the country in a few hours for something. But even with that, I mean, with everything that we're doing right now, I mean, I don't know how air travel is going to be affected by this. I mean, it's going to be crazy. I think that it's just going to be less people traveling. It's just a lower cost of overhead.
See, plus people don't need that jet to get to places anymore for these meetings. They can just do Zoom.
Yeah, but the meetings are an excuse to go on vacation. Because I know with my federal job, we have these conferences, right?
Yep, so me too.
I went to New Orleans, and we had this, amazing conference. But of course, everybody was there just to go see New Orleans. It was such a waste of money, but they're still going to do it because they have that excuse. And they're going to use that excuse to go travel to these amazing places.
Yeah, this amazing training that's going to be 2 hours a day, and I'm going to be out getting fucked up.
I had a company that sent me to New York for a week to work in their headquarters in the Empire State Building, and then to a city in Canada. I don't want somebody to be able to find this company because they're hysterical. But anyway, city in Canada for another week so that we could meet the team.
Yeah,
and we just sat there and did our jobs in New York at an expensive hotel, but you're right, it's an excuse to travel. But I think those days are probably over. Almost.
I'm not confident. I think people are always gonna, find it because it's all about travel. It's not about the meeting; it's about the travel. So I think they're gonna keep doing it.
They just have to use a different excuse, right?
Yeah. Well, and my uncle, he works. He's another guy who he's kind of a consultant for a lot of the startups, and he's been saying for years. He's been telling these guys like, hey, dude, you don't need to rent an office building downtown for $10 million a year. Like you can get people like our generation and younger don't give two fucks about commuting in to a campus to play ping pong on our lunch break.
But they have free kombucha.
Yeah.
The office every Friday.
No. And I would rather cook my own food. I mean, granted, having a chef like at the Google campus would be pretty sweet, but man, I'm not. I like my time. My time is more important to me now, especially with my background. I mean, being in the military, you realize like your time can be taken away like that, and that's one thing. And working crazy hours, you can have your NCO or an officer call you up and be like, "Hey, man, I need you. Something happened. I need you to pull this weekend." And you've been working 5 days straight, and it sucks. And you being out in the field, I will never trade. Like, I think time is more important than money, in my opinion.
Especially, the commute's the worst. Like, if you can avoid a commute, you'll probably be more happy than most people.
Oh, yeah.
When I was looking for properties to buy, the number one thing wasn't the price. It wasn't the city. It was the freaking commute.
Yeah. That's the DC area. That's where I grew up, man. I mean, and it has gotten so much worse. And what's interesting is that I think that the boomers have definitely gotten inculcated into this kind of commuting. Like they've been institutionalized into commuting. My dad could have worked from home. I mean, I think Ryan, we were talking about this like 10 years ago. I mean, he could have literally, because he had gotten so high up that he was like, I don't need to go in the office anymore. Just call me if you need something. And he's
not only have I been able to do my job, but I have done my job for the last 15 years remote whenever I wanted to. It's just not full time, but we still drove in the office to open the same laptop and connect to a different internet connection that was a little quicker. Yeah. But that's it. But is that worth 45 minutes each way?
Getting on the metro, not even in a car, getting in the metro and going to DC every day.
The DC metro, it's miserable.
I don't know. They do like an hour each way. I'm like, because I live in like Eastern Virginia. I would never live in DC because like it's just insane to me. You're working a 10-hour day instead of an 8-hour day.
Mm-hmm.
People are commuting from fucking Harrisonburg, Virginia, to DC. That's 2 hours, and they get up. Yeah, I mean, and people are commuting. I remember when I was growing up, one of my teachers commuted from West Virginia to, and I'm like, how do you do this? She goes, I got to get up at like 3 a.m. and on the way.
I just don't get the need for that. Like,
that's what happens when you have a lot of debt.
Unless they are at the office, right? Unless you have to be there for some reason, like a physical presence. Or they keep your firearm locked up at the office or something, use that for your job. There's no reason to commute into work if you're just on your laptop.
No, it's just
I get them once in a while, team building thing, whatever. No.
I think one day
I'll be right back.
Yeah. No, I think one day a week is perfectly
plenty. And that's what the company I'm at right now, that's what they were talking about, right? Is if they do the return thing, it's going to be a work shared environment because they have.
That's what we're doing.
You know, and a lot of these guys converted, but they denied contract conversions to some people years ago, not just where I'm at, other places too, because they didn't have seating availability in the office. And I'm like, dude, they're in IT, they could do the job remote.
Well, and that's
those policies in place. Then.
Well, and that's what's happening. That's what's happening in DC now is that they don't have enough office space for all the feds. And that was they actually gave my mom the option to they actually gave the option for my mom to work from home because they're like, we don't have the office space and you're basically so high up that you don't need to be here.
Yeah, unless you're literally going through the most sensitive classified material on the planet.
Yeah. You got to be in a talk. Well, if you've got to be in a if you got to be in a talk or a skiff, then
then I get that, right? Or remote in some, but you can still. There are ways to secure it. Not foolproof, but then again, none of the. I'll tell you firsthand, none of their offices are 100% foolproof either.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think this is not that anything good came out of COVID, but this might be the closest thing we get.
What
boomers are going to say.
Well, what I found to be interesting about it was this used to be a privilege to work from home.
Yeah,
like that was you had to earn this.
I remember that. Yeah,
and I was just like
senior, they let me work from home more often.
And that was just kind of like, well, and to be honest with you, what was it that I heard? Give it to the boomers to make divorce an Olympic sport, and
when you're in the office and commuting 12 hours a day. Yeah,
but that was the funny thing. Aaron Clary released a video back in 2013. He goes, "Why are you still making us commute?" And it was 2012. And he was even like, you talk about like the environment, you talk about all of this shit where it's like the environment, greenhouse, carbon emissions, and you're making us commute. And that was literally the same bullshit that it was like, oh, we
have to buy hybrid cars so that we can commute. I would just stop commuting, and then I'll drive on the weekends and still drive my V8.
I mean, they were too scared to take the lead because, like, when I first started working at my job, they allowed me no days of telework, and then after 6 months, it was like 1 day, and then after like 2 or 3 years, you got 2 days a week because like they didn't really trust you. But now after this has all happened and we're teleworking 5 days a week, everything's going to change. I mean, I can't imagine me going back and like, well, you can only do 2 days a week now because,
really,
I can't see that happening. So I think a lot of people are going to change.
Well, how much money? And that's what the thing is with us. I mean, it would save the taxpayers so much money just with all this office space. I mean, it's just, what's the point? What is the point of this? We can save so much money.
I think they finally realize they can use your computer to spy on you and see if you're actually working. They don't have to walk up and put their hand on their shoulder and say, "Hey, son, how's it going?"
Hey, Ryan, you're kind of breaking up. You're kind of okay.
Can you hear me now? Maybe
I can.
Internet connections. Yeah.
You gotta get one of these babies.
I used to have some really awesome mics when I was a music producer. I wish I would have kept one of them. But that's
you pay all that money. You pay all that money in that fancy apartment. They don't give you any decent internet connection.
Right, get paid for your own internet connection, and
yeah. Like my old apartment sucks. Like we all shared the same internet, and it was always going
slow.
down.
Yeah, it was always slow.
Horrible.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, well, that's the whole thing about this. I mean, I'm shocked that we're with all of these people online at the same time for just regular internet usage. I mean, this is possible. I mean, Brian, didn't you even say that you're even shocked that this is happening? Like, you think it's kind of a conspiracy?
Almost like the ISPs knew that they needed to increase their bandwidth and make sure that that they could handle this extra pressure somehow. But of course, that's not what happened. They just happened to have been prepared.
Yeah. No.
Sure. But no, I agree. It's still, power it is actually impressive that that just didn't go down. I mean, that's some glitches, that's some issues, obviously, but yeah, this massive, it wasn't overnight, but it was within a few months. This massive influx of, because you got to realize these offices, they're running fiber, they're running, they're dedicated lines that connect directly to the ISPs or whatever, but Yeah, at home, you just run it through your cable outlet or your phone outlet. You're lucky enough to have a fiber optic thing in a brand new developed community or something.
Hey, is he breaking up for you too?
What's up? Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Hey, try turning your camera off. Maybe that'll like help your internet go faster.
Yeah. It's just getting...
Come on, computer man.
I could barely hear you. It was like really, really low.
Wait, is it the audio or is it freezing video?
Now you're good.
Now you're good. Whatever you did now, it works.
I pushed my earpiece in a little bit more.
Oh, okay. You know what's also really fascinating to me is that, you know, the fact that you can make a clothing line and charge $100 for a pair of pants and people will buy it. Like Lululemon is by far the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. They are getting girls to pay.
Lululemon,
yeah, they are getting women to pay $100 for fucking yoga pants. I'm like, what do these things do? Do they give you special powers?
They teach you yoga. You put them on and you automatically start doing yoga. You don't have to, you know.
I mean, I don't mind looking at them, you know. I like,
I don't either, man.
You know, running to the park, I see yoga pants, you know.
Great investment. It depends, though. I've seen some in yoga pants that stretch it to the limit. But
everybody's beautiful. Ryan, how dare you? Everybody's beautiful. Okay.
They are. And
all right, we're gonna have to ban you from the stream now for saying such toxic things.
Yeah, I mean, we're accepting and everything. I mean, that's just.
Here's my toxic masculinity moment. Here we go.
What's up, Juan?
Juan, you need to tell Aaron to let me on his channel. I've been trying to get him to interview me or have me interview him, but he doesn't have time for me.
I think he's building the place in South Dakota, man.
I don't care because he interviewed he interviewed Chad Elkins today. I was like, well, you got time for Chad?
They've been big. Those guys grew up together, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just kind of half joking, but I'm eventually going to get him on my channel. I've been like emailing him, hey, you want to come on?
That'd be epic, man.
Yeah, he hates people, man. It's fantastic. It's
that has gone up too in this last couple of years. I mean, man, people being so isolated and stuff. It is interesting because you run into people now that things are opening up and they're just sketchy and distant. They're just trigger shy.
I think it's kind of funny what happened in New York City. What one of my buddies was telling me, he goes, everybody's just running to the Hamptons and there's no rules up there. They just tell the fucking cops to go fuck themselves because they're like, what are you going to do? You know,
arrest me.
Yeah, exactly.
There goes your tax revenue.
I mean, when your tax bracket is in the upper 1%, I think you can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want. And you
just call the senator you purchased and have them let you out.
Yeah,
you're paying everything. You know, most people don't pay taxes. I mean, they think they do, but they really don't.
Yeah, it's like there's more than 50%. I think it's more than 60. I think it's 60% of the average Americans don't pay income taxes. That's where I get pissed off about your fair share. I'm like, you got to pay your fair share. I'm like, I think Donald Trump's paid more than his fair share in taxes each year.
Dude, it takes a quick Google search and you can see like the more you make, you actually pay a higher percentage of your income than anybody below you. So the rich are actually paying more than their fair share.
Of course they are. If you're, I think under the new plan, isn't it? If you're making over 250,000, it's like, now they're going to start trying to implement the millionaire tax. I don't know if the Republicans are going to let it happen, but
like the billionaire, like that, it's all stupid. Like even if they implemented that tax, that's not going to solve our budget problem.
Well, what really gets me pissed off is that it's not illegal to put your money offshore. It's not. It's, you know, as long as you report. I mean, like, and that's the thing that this news media. Oh, they're parking all this money offshore. It's like you're hiding the money. I'm like, it's not against the law. You can do it. So it's like if Congress really wanted to, they could be like close that loophole. You know, and I learned so much being the son of a tax attorney that, you know, he told me all this stuff. I mean, it's like, and it makes sense from the other side.
I mean, Congress knows, like, you can't raise taxes so high that it really crushes your innovators and high earners because it will, in the long run, destroy your economy. So, like, they know. Like, they pretend like, oh, we're going to tax a billionaire.
They're putting on that front.
Yeah, it's all. I hate politics. That's just how it is. It's all BS.
And one thing that doesn't make sense to me is we're in an international market situation, right? These companies have presence everywhere, and all these developed, you know, and the internet's global, and communications are global. Companies can say, whatever, you want to tax me 90%? Cool, I'll move to Canada or Mexico.
I mean, that's why
anywhere else.
I mean, that's why the housing.
Naples did it, you know, whatever. Yeah, it is what it is. Well, that was because of a law change. But point is that we can go anywhere, you know. So if we They do try to tax everyone.
File his taxes.
Yeah.
It's fucking, but yeah, it is fucking bonkers.
He's
dude.
one of those rich thieves, is what you're telling me.
How dare you? Pay your fair share, bro.
Disgusting.
Which is 100% for anybody making over $100 a year.
Yeah, it's it's ridiculous. We really do. I mean, I don't know. I always look at it, they say always have empathy and look at it from it. I'm like, I look at it from a billionaire's perspective. It's like, yeah.
Make the heart candle.
I'm like, don't you want to keep as much money as you can too? I might. It's funny, my dad was always, it cracked me up. He said this. He goes, because he would always get like he would always get asked to do pro bono work, and it'd usually be in the inner cities of DC, where it's all tenant friendly. And after he had been a landlord and all this other stuff, he had known the racket that was going on, and he said, the only way that I will be a pro bono attorney in any of those situations if I'm representing the landlord, because they're the ones getting screwed in this. And somebody from this nonprofit, super liberal nonprofit looks at my dad and goes, evil person. God.
Give me all your money. Like it's just crazy. Like,
let this guy squat in your place for 3 years, not pay.
I mean, if you're rich, you just want to keep your money. You don't want people to steal your crap. But apparently, it's like noble and amazing to just try to steal people's money. Well,
no good deed goes unpunished, man. I mean, everybody I know that has really gone out of their way to help somebody, it's never enough. And I've done it too. I mean, I've literally tried to, Ryan, you did it.
I did it for the wrong reasons. Yeah, there's ways to go out of your way to help people that do appreciate it. There are groups, there are folks that do, but yeah, a lot of these, like you're talking about, guys, these programs or whatever, these forced and say, hey, I see a book. What is that?
See,
can you tell us more about that book?
I'm doing all this free YouTube for you guys, and all I ask is that you buy my book. Hey, but even that's not enough.
His book. What's it called again? Go ahead and tell us the name.
Stop Being a Broke Loser.
There you go. Buy that book. Yeah, I mean, there are ways to help people, but yeah, you force somebody to give money to a group that doesn't really. You know what I'm saying? You're right. It doesn't work. I mean, it didn't work in Soviet Russia. It didn't work in a lot of other places.
I'm 100% pro charity. Like, if you want to give a charity, fine.
Great. Yeah, give it somebody that's doing the right thing.
But at least it's voluntary. Like, you may have a crappy charity, but at least you're choosing to give your own money as opposed to having it extracted from you with tax law.
Yeah. No, and if it goes, and if
we'll do tax incentives, and say, listen, we'll lower your tax rate by 10% if you give X amount away. So it's still your choice.
You can deduct charity.
Well, true.
I was told recently when I filed my taxes, I always have a pro do it. I'm not. That is one thing you don't mess around with, in my opinion. And he was like, hey man, you could write off if you started giving, and I'm like, nope. Until I see the returns on what they're doing, and they're really helping people, and they're really getting equipment to people that really need it, and it's not top heavy, and only 30% of these, the revenue is going towards helping people, I just don't trust the system. I mean, it's like saying, hey, give more money to charity. It's like, okay, we'll give more money to the government. That's what I always say when they talk about taxing people, all these super leftists, and I'm a libertarian leaning conservative, and I think it's funny. I'm like, how are you this super liberal and you don't trust the government, but you want to raise taxes? Like, none of this makes any sense to me.
They're the ones managing it, right? You don't trust the people that are managing your money. Why would you want to give them more?
Yeah. And it just,
that has never made sense to me either. I agree.
Well, and it's funny, since the last time I got on, somebody got really mad at me because I think I told you about this. I was out with my buddy, and this woman who also worked for, she worked for a federal agency as well. She knows like politically where I stand and all this other stuff. And she goes, I just think what you stand for is horrible. And I said, okay, what do I stand for? And I said specifically, what do I stand for?
Killing babies. Genocide.
Well, the whole
male chauvinism.
Yeah.
Fascists.
Fascism, everything.
But then she looked at my buddy, and my buddy goes, don't look at me. I really want to know, what has he said that really pissed you off? And she goes, oh, so you're on his side? And he goes, no, I'm not on anybody's side. It's like, but he's asking you a legitimate question. And then she just got up and left. And I just thought, but that's where we're at today.
Yeah. You ask somebody that's arguing from passion to explain the logic behind it, and all they have is more anger because there is no logic. It's just how they feel based on nothing.
It's like legitimate, like the most bizarre thing. The biggest indoctrination that I've ever seen is like the fact that people will not date you based on your political beliefs. I think that's just nuts.
That was never a thing when I was dating. I've dated obviously for ages, but that was never a thing. Nobody ever asked me.
This was never a thing before Trump. You know, it's like I'm flabbergasted. I mean, I literally, although I have to say, when he won, it was kind of like, wow, all right, man. You know.
It was hilarious.
This is going to be a ride either way.
You know, the fear. I mean, he's the Marilyn Manson of presidents. I mean, he's pure shock value. And you know, I had
glam rock politics.
I had a "Make America Great Again" poster on my wall, and some chick walked into my place. We were about to go get drinks, and she goes, "Go fuck yourself," and just stormed out of my place. And I was like, "All right, so that's where we're at."
It's Drew's filtering system.
Well, a lot of girls say like they're not going to date you because of your political beliefs. Like, you'll see it on like dating app, but there are a bunch that they say that to like, you know, put on that public air.
Yeah.
But then if they actually get to know you, they'll still date you. You know, because like most girls are going to be leftists, but a lot of them are just kind of like on the surface they're leftist, but deep down inside they're really not.
Well, you know, it's like the girl I was talking to the other day. You know, she's making so much money in real estate. I said, come on, you can't be this. And she goes, not all of it, but you know, my friends, you know, I'll lose my friends if I say, you know, and it's just where we've gotten to in society. I'd be like, I don't want to be with friends of mine who would judge me based on that.
Half of my wife's friends don't even talk to us anymore because of me.
Are you serious? And I think you guys are right. A lot of people are probably not as liberal as they would say they are, but they're afraid to say that they're not, because it's perfectly acceptable to go one direction according to the narrative, but it's completely unacceptable to be in the middle of the road or right at all, you know, in your leanings.
My dad calls them Mercedes-Benz liberals. It's like you're driving around a $100,000 sports car, but you're a leftist. You know, it makes.
You should donate that sports car.
Yeah, that's
redistribute that sports car.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about all this stuff. It's just like the Hollywood stuff and all this other crap. It's just like you've got to put on that front, and it's really interesting that, you know, Trump did a lot of good. I mean, granted his persona sucked, but you know, it's like they just, no matter what, the media hated him so much, he was able to. It didn't matter what he did, you know.
See, but that's another reason you should save money, because like if you're a conservative and you don't have any money, you're dependent on your job. So you can't really go out and say things that you believe in. But once you have a bunch of money set aside, like, I mean, I'm doing pretty well. I got to the point where I was like, I'm tired of not saying anything and not debating these morons. And now I'm like, okay.
There's no point. There's no point in it. I mean, like when I say, hey, you know, I want lower taxes. I want people to, you know, have choices in their lives. I want people to be, you know, I want people to have a good life. And it's like, you're evil for saying that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want everybody to be dependent on, you know, getting, I mean, granted, the $1,400 stimulus check, everybody's getting excited about it. I'm just like,
I'm excited.
I'm happy. I don't, I mean, it's nice to say that it would be nice just to throw that somewhere, but it's not like,
it's all going to go to beer.
I really need that. Huh?
It's all going to go to beer. You know it.
Yeah. No.
I'm actually getting a TV mount. Okay. I'm going to spend about $60 out of my stimulus. So,
dude, you should throw it. You can get them online for 30.
Well, whatever I can get it cheaply.
That'd be fun. Just go to Sportsman's Warehouse and buy a new AR platform. Stimulus money.
Dude, you should hire somebody to hold it for you. Help out those that can't work, right?
No. What I should do is go on a big game safari hunt with my money. That's
go kill an elephant or something and pose.
Yeah, you can mount your Trump poster on, you know, an elephant hide, you know, and then you'll definitely get a lot of attention.
They hated Trump. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When he was trying to when he was actually trying to help the economy. Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, everybody's all about money printing when the economy's bad because they want to get reelected, so they don't care.
Yeah. No, yeah, but you know, here's the thing that I'm confident about is like a lot of people that I work with, I'm 99% sure that they don't watch stuff like this. I don't think they're they're definitely on the realm of like, you know, just go spend their money and do what they want, and they don't. But yeah, I work in a rather. It's getting granola. I don't know how it is at the Feds, but it's definitely getting a little granola for me. It's definitely
it's very liberal. Like obviously, federal employees are almost all Democrats. Like I'm probably
that's hard to believe
Republican.
Because I know a couple of federal agents, and I guess that's the exception to the rule. And I the ones who work for DOJ and all that other stuff. I mean, yeah, but I guess that's always the exception to the rule. But yeah, man, it's getting crazy out there. I think that it's going to be interesting in 4 years to see where we're at again. Is it going to be another swing? Because I'm not going to lie to you, it'd be pretty fucking hilarious if Trump ran again.
I think he is. I
mean, say what you want about a complete ego-driven maniac, but I mean, I can appreciate that. You know, it's kind of like the UFC fighter who wants to go get his belt.
Right? Yeah,
he's a guy that, like, if you insult him or he thinks he's been, he's going to come back harder than ever.
Yeah, and I respect.
Obama made fun of him at that dinner, with the burger thing.
Hold my beer, dude. No, but
it's going to swing. Pendulum's going to go back some other direction. I mean, you never know. It depends on what Joe does. But
yeah, and you know what? I'm rooting for him to do the best that he can. I'm not one of these guys that's rooting for the president to fail. He's still our president. I mean, I want him
the office.
Yeah, I want them to do well. I want, do I agree with everything that he's doing? No. But I don't want this country to, be as divisive as it is. I look at politics now as entertainment value to me. It's just pure entertainment. And,
everything South Park predicted it would be. Yeah.
Well, the vaccine special, I think, is on tonight. So
people think it's like real when it's really just a show. And once you realize it's all just a show to kind of like pander to a certain audience, you don't have to take it seriously. It's just a joke, like you said. So, I mean, the news doesn't even bother me anymore.
No. And what's also crazy to me is that all the news has done to me is it's made me stress out. And I'm like, why am I going to watch this? I'm still going to do what I'm doing. These people don't influence my direct life at all, and oh my God, I mean, the amount of people that I've seen who have been directly influenced by the local or the national news is just like, they were saying, like, one girl in my neighborhood was like, they shut down the post office. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, does this really? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't work for the friggin' post office. Why are you asking me? I'm like,
when was the last time you went to the post office?
Yeah. Well, I do have a post office box because Amazon packages get stolen quite a bit. So I just decided to pay the $100 a year to get a post office box. But I mean, yeah, man, it's just this kind of stupid shit is just ridiculous.
You check the news for weather, finances, and
snow,
anything else important will come through the emergency alert system. That's what I do.
No, nothing will make you happier than ignoring the news. Like I used to get pissed about it too. And then about 3 months ago, I'm like, what? Why? Like you were saying, it doesn't really make a difference. So it
doesn't add to your life. Yeah. I mean, that information you can Google anyway if you want some specific knowledge about what's going on here or there. But just to read the articles with everybody's slant on it, you're never just going to get the facts.
No, you're getting an interpretation.
Yeah. You're getting an interpretation.
You get Fox News, which is just, I don't even watch Fox. CNN, which is just basically feelings on steroids, when it's just like, oh, I'm so offended. And
well-funded feelings.
I'm just like, come on, dude. I want like Walter Cronkite. I want a clock and I want the fucking news. What happened today?
I think the best news to watch is like your local news channel. Because like most local news is a lot more impartial. They just kind of like report the news. Here's the weather. Here's what happened. They don't really go into the theatrics like the bigger networks do.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that, me and my buddy, we took the day off and went to the Trump rally down in the Springs. And it was so funny because the news, like you're literally outside, and we were just there just because we're like, dude, this is a once in a lifetime thing. We're going to go see this. The reporters are literally going to the biggest stereotypes in the crowd and being like, you want to be interviewed? And like, hell yeah, I do. I want to fucking get something off my mind. I'm going to let you know what I'm going to think. Fuck yeah, this guy's the best thing that ever happened in our country. And I'm like, oh my fucking God.
Like, great sample, by the way. Yeah. Truly impartial sample size there. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
You can totally trust the news. They're not trying to, make certain people look bad and certain people look good. Obviously.
They never would have an agenda. They paid well for not having an agenda.
tell you what, man, it came out of my double wide, and we're going to support the president. That's literally what they were going for. I mean,
we're sponsor him on NASCAR. We'll take left turns all day.
Trump 2020. That would be great,
right?
On the Daytona 500.
The funniest thing is, like, overall, Biden is not a leftist.
No, he's not. He's
basically the same as like Bush and Clinton. Like, there's not that much difference. Everybody thinks the world's going to change now that Trump's gone. It's a bunch of BS. Nothing's going to change.
Nothing ever changes. The defense. I love this. It's like we spend so much money on defense spending, and we're not educating our children. I'm like, it's not the job of the government.
Dude, I made a video about it. So I looked at total government spending, and we actually spend more, I think, in education than we do in defense.
Dude, all of my taxes, and I know for a fact I'm not having children. And I'm looking at my tax bill from the city and county that I'm in, and it's just like $700. The majority of it's going to schools. And I'm like, and I know, I had a horrific experience in the K-12 system. I shouldn't have gone. I mean, granted, I've gone to college, and I'm glad I did, but I would have probably been a way better welder if I was pushing a lot of different directions. It's just not how my brain works. And $700 out of a 1,000, 1,200. I'm like, can I just give that to the police and fire pension? Those gals and guys deserve that. I want to have, because they've got a tough job. I think we should be allowed to choose where we want to give our taxes to. Like, give us. No, you don't think so?
Just law. See, that defeats the whole purpose of taxes, because like if the rich were able to choose what they gave their taxes to, they would like.
Well, I'm sure most people would want to give the majority of their money to school systems. I just think that the public school system is such a shit show that I think it just needs to be revamped. I was watching a TED Talk where a guy was talking about, like, he's been a career math teacher his entire life. He goes, why are we pushing kids who want to be, welders, electricians, all this other stuff, and they don't do well in math? Why are you pushing them? Like, why are you saying they can't graduate from college? Why don't you send them down a different track? Why don't you send them to there's a school in Florida that I liked about this. They have a class for, they have a former FAA certified pilot that got the kids into drone flying as a teacher down there. And he's teaching them how to, getting these kids certified on how to fly drones so they can make money taking pictures in real estate and all the other stuff.
Yeah, Germany actually has a system kind of like you're proposing, where I think you're like 15 or 16, and then you choose either the trade track or you choose, the white collar track. And it's a good idea because, some people want to do white collar, some people want to do trades.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing
trades
wrong
are
with it.
More secure. Companies right now, corporate America is just, it's a nightmare.
I like having
a lot of these industries. Yeah,
I have a CPA. I'm like, okay, I don't have to work for a corporation. It's just a better
do your own thing.
So
I looked it up. Social Security is the second highest expense federal government wise in 2020. So that's good to know, right? Something that won't be there for us when we need it.
Train
way above education. So
I don't even
direct that.
You have to look at total government, because they always talk about the federal, but they never talk about state and local. Whereas state and local is more education. That's where all education dollars are spent. But if you just look at the federal, it's like, the defense and all.
They don't sponsor a ton of that. No, it's state, local, your jurisdiction.
People are so stupid, man. It takes one Google search.
Well, and that's the problem, is that people are always they're concerned about national politics. But if you want to implement change in your, immediately, you vote locally. Mm-hmm. Like you have immediate local influence. And
why not HOA president? Because I don't. If they want to do let's do universal health care for our HOA, I'd be like, no, president, we're not doing that.
Your HOA makes your life more miserable than the president usually does, right? I mean, think about it. It's all about local.
So wait a minute. Do you have a condo or a townhome?
Townhome.
So you're paying what? Like $150 a month?
61.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's why I ran. I was like, I'm going to keep it low. I'm not going to pay for any stupid pools to be installed or a gym. I want to be involved, so I don't have to pay more local HOA taxes.
Yeah, I'm going to get on mine, which is a complete pain in the ass. I know it's a complete pain in the ass. I mean, it's just, that's a racket in and of itself. And people just have HOAs just for one reason. I mean, it's the insurance. It's just to cover things just in case something happens. You know,
well, townhouses are usually more expensive, right? You got your own roof usually. You got like a wall connecting you, and not built like condos. But yeah, I mean, the HOAs here when I was looking, places they went all the way up from usually 100 to usually about 200, all the way up to $500 a month. The HOAs that I saw.
yeah.
Yeah, it's all based on the HOA. Like if you don't want crap, like our biggest expense is yard, like because we have people come cut our grass. And if we cut that out, if we reduce that, we'd only have probably $20 a month in HOA fees. So, I mean, just by running for the office, you have an impact on that.
Yeah. Yeah. We had the other guy that actually just moved out. He's a CPA like you. He ran the numbers and he goes, yeah, we need all of our money back based on this insurance. I ran the numbers and we fired our last HOA. I mean, they're all bad. They're all bad. I mean, they're all just kind of like my biggest concern, like living where I live, and I experienced this because like I had dipshits living above me, like these traveling construction workers. They were just fucking morons, and they just wanted bodies in there to make money. And I had to, and that's where I just realized, you got to write letters, you got to call the police, it took them forever to get them the hell out of there. And it was just because they thought it was just me complaining, but I was the only one that had the balls to speak up and be like, because, the girls that live upstairs don't want to have to deal with 4 drunk construction workers who are just complete assholes. So they were like, we're afraid they're going to destroy our vehicles. I'm like, let them destroy my fucking vehicle. I don't give a shit.
Piece of crap. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what, but, yeah, I'm not a fan of what I paid for by any means. And it's just, I think that they've blown up into this kind of predatory company. And these companies, I don't know, but it's good that you're
an HOA management company.
Yeah.
See, because you can actually we don't have a management company. We run our own HOA, and that cuts a huge expense.
Yeah, we've thought about like having one of our neighbors. She's thought about it, but it's just stupid. And then we got a roof fixed. I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know. This is kind of one of the reasons why I've had a lot of fun living where I live. I mean, Ryan can attest to it. Where we live is a lot of fun, but it just gets old. It just gets old after a while. I mean, I'd rather live in a modestly sized 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, and as long as everything works. Condos and all these other this is exactly why I don't want to be a landlord. Like, I don't know about you. Do you ever want to buy real estate? Yeah,
never. You can just buy a real estate investment trust. Why?
That's what I have. Yeah.
I'm not dealing with these stupid tenants.
No, it's awful.
I can't do it.
And I think in one of my family's properties recently, I think I might have told you this last time, the boyfriend of one of the tenants, he ended up he's a meth head, piece of shit loser, and just destroyed the place. $8,000 worth of damage. She's on the hook for it, and she doesn't make a whole lot of money.
Try to sue them, and they're like, "Oh, I don't have the money."
Well, in small claims court is a pain in the ass. That means they get paid under the table, and then they just deal with all this other shit. And it's just like that. It's just too much of a headache to make a few extra bucks, in my opinion.
Yeah, we have these slum apartments right across the street. There's 4 apartments, and my wife was like, "Hey, maybe we can, buy that."
You should tell her to buy it, and then you have nothing to do with it.
I was like, "You want to deal with that? That's fine, but I'll just keep buying real estate, real estate investment trust."
Yeah, a lot of places don't allow the short-term rentals, and I was doing.
I stopped it.
It was great.
I stopped it. I said minimum of a year. Like, we're done. We're done. I mean, and
being a landlord though, as far as using that system, it's a lot safer, obviously, because they cover anything. Method destroys the place, they cover it, But yeah, it is.
Yeah, but you're the one getting the noise complaint. And the funny thing is that upstairs, I think they've been having a lot of problems renting the place out, in the current market. But it's one of those things where, you live in a big metropolitan area and people are coming in here to party, and this is one of the few states that has recreational marijuana. So what are people going to do? They're going to rent out a place, party their asses off all weekend, go to a Broncos game. I've seen it. I mean, it's just like
I've done to my place a few times, yeah.
And it's not worth it. I mean, I need my peace of mind. Like, sleep is a big, big thing with me. And if you piss me off, I will make your life a living hell. But but that's the problem nowadays, is like, you've got to do all this documentation. You got to literally my HOA was like, she said, keep a notepad near your on your desk, like where I'm sitting at now. Anything happens, anything drops, any noises, you call me and you write everything down, and that's what it took. And they were just, and that's when I was like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think real estate's like an easy ticket to
it's
money,
stupid,
but it's so much. There's so much risk. It's just better to take even a little bit less return and just buy a freaking REIT.
My dad was always like, he's made more money in the stock market than real estate over the long haul.
And you can own real estate stocks. I mean, that's what REITs are. It's
if I'm going to own an additional home, it's going to be a ski lodge. It's going to be like someplace near one of the slopes, and it's going to be mine. Like nobody's going to be that's the biggest thing too, is like with real estate. Like if you own a place in a really nice place, like ski lodge, Hawaii or anything like that, and people find out about that stuff, they're going to be bugging you for stuff. And they're going to be like, that's another reason why, you need to act like you're poor, because if you do have all these assets, you really want people bugging you to be like, hey man, can we borrow your
coming into
condo?
town next week? Can you use your ski lodge for
let's go to Vail, oh yeah, X Games in Aspen, bro. I heard you got a house up there. No.
But when I finally retire though, I am going to tell people that I'm rich, and I'm just going to be like, don't even think about asking me for a freaking dime ever. I'm just going to rub it in their face.
Well, what do you think the issues is with like people who win the lottery though? I mean, like obviously, because I don't know, the more horror stories I feel like if I ever won the lottery, like I made that, like I sent you that request, I would feel like that's a huge liability, because I feel like every person out of the woodwork that I had a bad interaction with, I'm going to get sued for something. They're going to just flagrantly sue me.
Then I would get like umbrella insurance. Like that's your best.
Oh, yeah. I
just invest it right away so it's not liquid, right?
I don't know about that. It's REIT index.
REIT index. Because if you buy one REIT, that's like one company. But a REIT index, like VNQ and Vanguard, that's like dozens or thousands, hundreds of REITs. So you always want to get an index, not just one company.
So they've got a REIT. Do they have a REIT index on the Vanguard?
Yeah, it's an ET. So I think they have a mutual fund too. But I know the ETF. I have it in my Roth. It's VNQ.
VNQ. I'm taking a look at it right now. VNQ.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to have like a huge part of your portfolio in it, but I have like 10% in there and then 15% small.
Stock market went up today. Man,
let me see VNQ's been crushed because of the pandemic, but
why is it mostly held up in commercial real estate? Is that the problem with it?
It's basically like every single real estate you can imagine, like commercial, hospitals, telecoms. It owns everything. So, but real estate, just because of the pandemic, it's been really crushed. But
the healthcare fund is kind of really up, and it's just going up, down, up, down. I would thought that would be kind of consistent, but
it's done good historically. But there's also risks, like if Bernie becomes president, what's going to happen with that?
You really think that guy can become president? You really think
Dude, I don't know. Maybe
anybody can.
Trump did. But yeah, that's the ETF. That I'm not saying you have to buy that, but if you're looking at a REIT ETF, that's a good one to consider.
Yeah, I've got another one. I've got the Vanguard Real Estate. What is it? The Vanguard Real Estate Index Fund.
That's VNQ. But
VNQ, yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, and that's enough for me. I mean, I think I'm diversified enough where I just like you said, you don't want to be too diversified into too much stuff. You got to keep it simple. But I'm just wondering on when I should buy the total bond index and just
wait, because bonds right now, like they've had a good run because interest rates have gone down, but rates are so low. There's only one way those funds are going to go, and that's down once interest rates start going up. So
and that's why I was advised, like you get a better return paying off more on your mortgage than investing into bonds right now. So exactly. So that's where I'm kind of headed with that. But oh man, I wish every American had the problems we had. What are we going to invest in this week?
Champagne problems.
What am I going to do when I retire at 50? Oh,
but dude,
what island do you want to buy next?
Which European country am I going to vacation in next year?
Well, that's another reason my family, they want to get out of real estate, is because every time they go and they try to enjoy their retirement, they're getting the phone call, pipes burst. pipes burst or something else, some shit show just goes awry in one of their properties, and it's just like, it's, in my opinion, like it's really funny. Like, my mom can't handle the stock market, and my dad can't handle real estate. And my mom can handle real estate. My dad, it's just, my mom can handle real estate. My dad can handle the stock market. So when it takes a dump, my dad's like, "Oh, we'll be fine." And my mom's like, "You need to sell everything. You need to sell everything." Like she was like, when I went home one time, she goes, because she was like, I don't know if we're gonna get out of this. We're gonna, I just got a bad feeling. And me and my dad went for a ride, and he goes, "Don't listen to your mother. We're gonna be fine."
Dude, the only time I would sell all my stock is if like there was this virus that killed like 80% of the population. Like,
oh yeah,
then yeah, we're in trouble. But like this that kills like 1%, no, it's not gonna.
It's pretty
At that
bad.
point, stocks are going to matter anyway.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. I mean, this thing's pretty bad. But I try to see both sides of it. I'm like, you're just kind of like, oh man, that's a tough decision to make. I mean, but the problem that I have with all this, it's just so inconsistent. Let's shut this down, but let's not shut this down. Let's destroy the restaurant industry, but let's keep booze and weed thriving. Like, especially, you
gotta have the necessities, Drew.
Yeah,
like water and bread.
Gun shops are a necessity. I actually advocate for gun shops being open, but
yeah,
it's just
funny. Is like nothing like. I have not changed anything in my life, to be honest. I still go to restaurants. I still go to bars. Like, we're basically 100% open. We just pretend like we're not.
Yeah, and you got Uber Eats. I mean, everything's become way more efficient. I learned that I can order my groceries and have them sent to my house. I'm never going back that's why I was saying to Ryan, I was like, I'm never going back to a fucking grocery store ever again. Everybody's talking about social distancing. I'm like, you do realize you could have your groceries delivered to your house for $3.95?
Dude, Walmart. You can pay $98 a year and you get unlimited delivery.
Yeah. Yeah. But people, I think the psychological aspect of it, I think some people do enjoy grocery shopping. I think people really do enjoy that. That's like the last.
Yeah, I mean, especially during a pandemic, just grab the same fruit that everybody else has grabbed.
I actually have a confession. I was actually so bored during the lockdowns. the only time I was able to
we went to grocery
was to go to the grocery store
and walk around and just look at this. Look at all the empty toilet paper. There's no toilet paper.
Yeah, I was like, well, what else? Right. I mean, might as well leave the house and go somewhere. So I would go to freaking Walmart, which is probably not a good idea, but
Wally World, man.
Well, the people. I mean, you got to people watch there, though. I mean, that's
it was entertaining.
I mean, we do that just for fun anyway, right?
I don't know, man. I'm looking at property in West Virginia. I mean, I want to buy land in an area that is so bad that it's untouched. Even Walmart won't even go there. Like, Walmart closed up shop in some of the counties that I've seen.
You don't know how much you love Walmart until you can't get it anymore. Okay. Walmart's God. There's nothing better.
Yeah. Price Club. I mean, yeah, Walmart, Price Club, Sam's Club, all that stuff. That's America, dude. I mean, that's
mega shops for mega people.
Yeah,
everything I could possibly need is here. Oh, how terrible,
Minus the gun shop and what was it? What was it? Homer Simpson.
Pot store, gun shop, and a dirty bookstore. Throw that in there.
The Simpsons summed up like American life. He goes, they run a background check on Homer Simpson. And he goes, it appears that you've been in a mental institution. You've had multiple incidents of violence at work. You've been investigated by child services for choking your son. He goes, does that mean I can't get a gun? No. That just limits you to 3 handguns or less.
You have a 72-hour wait. That's all.
72-hour wait. And now I have people with this whole thing going on. People that hate guns have called me up and been like, what should I buy? I'm like, oh wow, somebody's coming to the dinner table. Like, it's so ridiculous. I'm just
like given that you knowledge of guns, you should buy.
What do you think's going to happen in your suburbs? Like, what do you think's going to happen during a lockdown?
There's going to be riots, man. They're going everywhere.
Yeah,
they're going to walk that 2 hours to get to suburbia from.
Absolutely.
And they'll be like, I'm tired of going to Starbucks anyway. They just stop.
Starbucks is the biggest rip off on the planet, man. That's just coffee. overpriced coffee. You know, I bought a iced coffee maker, just paid off dividends, and I still have my Mr. Coffee machine that just chucks out the same shitty cup of coffee every morning that I need.
That's what every morning I make a whole pot, like 10 cents a pot, and I just drink normal coffee, you know, instead of $3-4 for a cup. It's ridiculous.
It doesn't have syrup and whipped cream and sprinkles on it.
There was some comedian. There was some comedian that said that. He's like, "Can I just get a fucking coffee flavored coffee? Like I just need a cup of coffee." That's why he says Dunkin' Donuts, man. And I think that Dunkin' Donuts is like skyrocketed people ordering.
I hate Dunkin'. Like the food there is such a ripoff, and it's just not good. And then on top of that, of coffee.
No, yeah. I don't know the whole food service industry. I mean, I think if we shut down, if people did not have the option to eat KFC and McDonald's and all this other stuff, we would see the obesity rate in this country just go so down. And
they'd find another way to be fat.
You're probably right.
Just an addiction. You get rid of one drug, they'll find another one.
Well,
don't question the Americans' ability to be fat. All right, they'll always find a way.
No,
that's how you question our belief in the Bible. Come on, man. Always find a way.
The slow cooker is by far the best thing that was ever invented for a single guy.
Idiot proof. I love it.
Yeah, I've
got. If you forget, that's cool. Leave it on for another day. It'll still be fine.
I'm cooking.
Well, by then it might be like melted goo, but at least it won't.
Yeah, I mean, you still eat it, right?
I'm living the American dream. I've got my groceries being delivered tomorrow, and then I've got my crock pot, and then I'm good to go. Saving a lot of money, but
you have finance apps, you got delivery groceries, you got online dating, and what else? You don't literally.
You can get a fucking master's degree from inside your home. You don't even need to step foot on a campus. I mean, what else? I mean, everything is completely self-sufficient. And I was going to mention this. I forgot to bring this up. So, my neighbor who works for a major university around here, she wanted my honest opinion. I don't know if that's a good thing.
No.
She works for a major university and she works in the Veterans Center, or she has to sometimes. And they said that all of the veterans in there are just bitching and complaining, being like, "This is fucking bullshit. You know, I had to get this, do this and she goes, "How do you feel about that?" And I said, and I'm trying to be a walk to even keel. I said, I agree with him. I said, and she goes, "Well, I just feel like there's a better way to get your education paid for than die for your country." I'm like, I didn't fucking die. I'm good. You didn't die.
Well, you could save money, or your parents could, and do it that way, or you could go and do cheap options. Like, there's so many ways to pay it outside the military. But like,
or work while you're doing it.
At the same time, like,
novel concept.
Why do they feel compelled to literally tax everybody and force them to pay for only a certain segment of the population's education?
Well, and now that just speaking out on that issue, that's like un-PC to do, like not PC to do that. It's like, why the fuck am I paying off this shit? And it's like a legitimate question. It's like, how dare you? Like you were privileged and you had the opportunity to go to college. I said, I don't know if privilege is the word for it, but
well, I mean, if you weren't paying the taxes, you would have more money to pay and you'd be able to choose what you spend your money on instead of the government forcing you to spend money on something. And that goes for anything. I mean,
well, and that's the whole thing is like, at what point is it, you said you were an adult, you're a big boy and girl, and you took out all of this debt. And now I don't think, but on the other hand, with this being said right now, do you think adulthood should be 21? I mean, I don't know if we're seeing
30 would be a good age.
Yeah.
30 makes, like, logically 30 is the best, but that will never fly.
No.
Whatever the frontal lobe when it's done developing, I think
25
or 25.
It's 25 for men.
Yeah, that's why like kind of really my brain clicked and I actually kind of like grew up a little bit. It was mid-20s, so.
But you were leading people into battle before that, so I mean that's
that's true, but
that's responsibility.
No,
that's a good thing.
But that is one of the things that I find to be fascinating about like a lot of this stuff. I'm just, my brain can't comprehend how like stupid this student loan thing is. It's so fucking stupid. It's beyond stupid.
I didn't see it like when I first, when I was thinking about going to college. Like it's just not. Nobody says any other alternative. It's you're going to go to college. And if you don't, you're a loser.
You're an idiot. Yeah, you're an idiot.
That's it. There's no alternative. Like I didn't even consider, Like, oh, maybe I could wait and not go into debt. I got lucky and got a scholarship, but I mean, if I didn't, I probably would have taken out some loans.
Yeah, and I've always said that too. But on the other hand, if I didn't have my undergrad paid for, or I didn't have that route, I would have gone straight into the military. I mean, and I probably would have been like working online. I would have been getting my prereqs done and all that other stuff. I would have taken advantage of everything. But yeah, there's just not
it wasn't really an option.
Well, yeah, our system is broken. I mean, Ryan, you said that you didn't really have any guidance.
Oh, no. I mean, I don't ever remember even talking to a high school guidance counselor. I worked with a college counselor for a minute, when I got into it. I switched my degree after year one. But yeah, I mean, none of them, well, it just depends on what university you want to go to. I'm like, well, okay, cool. Well, when I get there, what would you recommend? What's hot in the market? What do you think? Oh, it just depends on what you want to do. And they never really answer the question straight up.
Depends what you want to do. Yeah, not.
Yeah, and that's true. They're all true statements, but they just,
well, they don't want to offend.
They don't actually answer the question.
Well, do you think that they're afraid of being sued by these ultra babying parents?
Probably now.
How dare you tell my son he can't be the next, whatever.
Maybe, but back when I graduated, it was 01. I mean, there wasn't a ton of that back then. We're still, relatively.
Yeah,
it was still a normal country back then a little bit. So
No.
yeah, but I agree. They probably just didn't want to be held. They didn't want parents coming back and yelling at them, I would imagine. But unless you were on the football team or some sort of sports team there and had a scholarship, they didn't really get involved.
Yeah, that's what I think is so funny about it. It's just like, go get a sports scholarship. Oh, and I'm like, well, there's what? Like it's just
get tall and big and play football. That's all you got to do.
Even though you have a better chance.
Just get smart and rich.
Yeah, even though you have a better chance of being struck by lightning than making it to the NFL. And I know
especially for taller.
And I know 3 guys that got to the league, and you know what they said? You're so sick and tired of playing football. Your body is so broken at that point. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's even I know a couple of guys that went and play professional baseball, and they said it's a fucking you hate baseball after that because you're literally like you're paid nothing, and it's like this is it. It really is a grind, and I'm like. It's a game, man. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. And that's why I think that Americans are just, I don't know, reading Curse of the High IQ. It's like, I've always wondered that myself. It's like, why are people so obsessed with sports?
By the way, side note, see that? Does that look like a drug?
The wrong spot.
Now you're fine.
I got blood drawn yesterday because I've been sick. And they freaking stabbed me like 20 freaking times.
So are you in quarantine?
Right, just pincushion you for a bit.
Are you in quarantine right now?
I am not. I don't have COVID. All right, I can't say that. The virus.
Why can't anybody say that? I don't. Why?
Like YouTube like censors you. Like I guess it doesn't matter because like I don't have a big following anyway. But I'm trying to get into the habit because if you say certain words, YouTube will like demote you on the ranking.
Really? What is wrong with that word though? It's not offensive.
Well, it's just because people like there's all those conspiracy theories or whatever.
Oh.
They send so just by saying the word, I guess they just freaking demote you.
I always liked that Joe Rogan. He was with some guy who was like debating. He's like the guys from YouTube, and then he's like, "You do realize we're no, it was Twitter." And he goes, "You're kicking people off your platform with conservative values." And he goes, "No, we're not. It's hate speech." And he goes, "Well, how is this hate speech?" Like, then they were comparing the two of like, this person said this, that's really bad. And then you said it about this guy, but this guy gets hate speech. So it's all
perspective.
Tech.
The agenda.
Ryan, you work in this world. I mean,
let's put it this way. There's not a single sector, especially with tech right now, that are becoming so powerful. It's all politicized, man. They get incentives to do certain things a certain way, or they will get told nicely that certain things won't turn out that way for them if they don't do certain things. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I think you all can fill in the dots there, right?
Yeah.
You can read between the lines on that. So it's not even so much that the company values or that way, but they're being pressured and they're being incentivized, just like the media. I mean, it's all. If you don't have all these blocks lined up, you don't have a foundation. right?
No.
You don't have a train if there are certain cars missing in the middle. You have to have them all lined up before that narrative works, before it can run, or any narrative. I'm not saying it's good, bad, judgment free here. Just whatever narrative you're trying to run, you have to have those pieces of the puzzle. You have to have media, you have to have entertainment, you have the news, you have to have technology. It's all.
Well, what I don't understand is like nobody wants to hear a different. I mean, it just seems that way. I think that obviously we're proving nowadays that, it's very hostile towards people who go on to college campuses. And then that's another reason why I think college is pretty worthless nowadays is like, if you go on there as a conservative and people know you and you kind of lean that way, your professors are going to give you hell.
Yeah, you should have seen me. Because like every Thursday we had to wear our Army uniforms around campus. So I'd go to class in my Army uniforms, and I could tell some of the professors didn't like it. They were kind of like,
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't all.
How dare you for defending our country? That is so not cool.
I'm a baby murdering fascist. Okay.
I wonder if they would say that.
Terminology correct here.
I think that might get you demoted. Oh no.
After my brief experience on a campus, after I had gone back, I'm like, no way, I can't do it. I mean,
if you want to go to you need to go to like a school in the South. That's like, because the South
wasn't that what you did?
Yeah. So like my school wasn't that bad. It could have been a lot worse. Like if I was in Washington State or California, I would have got way more crap
and way more money.
If the school offers a class in marksmanship, then that's the college I want to go to.
Well,
right? Like if they offer,
a basic training.
Do you have range day? Excellent.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like my dad's like, it's like you're being in North Vietnamese re-education camp, and that's where I think it's like, I just find it really unbelievable that you're paying all of this money to be told that you're a victim and that you're never going to get ahead. I mean, that's my perception of it. It's like you're being told, oh, you're oppressed. Oh, it's everything holding you down. I'm like, that's really what college is about nowadays.
I mean, it's only those stupid majors. I mean, if you really look at who's graduating with what majors, I don't think most people
even business schools. I was talking to a kid who was in business school, and he had a professor being like, it's the patriarchy keeping everybody down and all. And he's like, this is a course about innovation and making money.
But it could have been like a marketing class or some. Like none of my accounting classes, I've never heard that crap.
Really,
they're too busy teaching actual stuff.
Well, that's why, and that's why I think the online platform, and with my school where I went to grad school, it was all basically veterans, and it was a pretty conservative school in Virginia, but I could actually feel like I could be myself. It was just kind of like, hey, I'm going to write this paper the way I want to write it, and I'm going to go this route, and we can have discussions like adults, real working adults. I mean, but yeah, it is absolutely. I always loved the graduation caps that said, "I graduated from college without becoming a liberal." And
you avoided the virus, right?
But what's also really funny to me is that and this kind of happened with a couple of people I know, a couple of women I know, as they got older and they started making money of their own, then they became conservatives. Mm-hmm. Like there was like a wake up call.
When it goes from ideology to in practice, when it goes from theory to execution, it tends to change people's opinions.
Well, and they ended up like, once they learned the basics of money, like I found out a few of them told me, when I learned how to save, invest, do all this stuff, invest in stuff, and I started seeing that take off, I really had nothing in common with any of these people.
Yeah. I mean, most people that are liberal, they're either young and they don't know anything about money or economics, or they're, just people that never succeeded in life that need to blame something. But, as people get older, like even millennials, I think once they actually have real freaking jobs, are going to become more conservative. So I'm not worried about that. But
I was always, I mean, my dad cracks me up. He goes, I don't know how the hell you turned it, because my mom is a classic liberal growing up, and she, my dad was always working, and so I don't know how the hell you turned out the way you did. and it's just kind of like, I don't know. The first time I realized when I realized the thing about money is that I'd rather keep more for it to myself and use it for what I want, as opposed to having someone tell me what they're going to do with my money. as opposed to, and that's where I was just like, I question that. And that's where I'm just like, have we ever taxed anybody out of into prosperity? That's what I don't know. It's like, what are we going to do?
Huh? Norway. Yeah. So amazing.
Yeah. But
these 50% taxes.
But if you don't even know how to do a daily budget, what's the point of giving somebody even more money? I mean, that's kind of what
like giving a monkey a rocket launcher. What do you think they're going to do with it? Right? I mean, they're just going to destroy things. And I mean, that's what people do when they don't have a budget.
Well,
I think it turns you a little more to the charity side.
Yeah. Hey guys, so we're at the 2-hour mark. I think I'm going to go the podcast.
All right, guys. All right.
But yeah, thanks for coming on. I mean, me and Jay are going to be live on Saturday if you're available. If not, we can do another time. It's up to you. But
we'll figure it out. I think we'll
figure it out. Thanks for having us on.
All right, dude.
Appreciate it.
You guys are famous now. All right.
We'll make you famous.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Night.